بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله البر الجواد الذي جلت نعمه عن الإحصاء بالأعداد، المان باللطف والإرشاد، الهادي إلى سبيل الرشاد، الموفق للتفقه في الدين من لطف به واختاره من العباد. أحمده أبلغ حمد وأكمله وأزكاه وأشمله، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله الواحد الغفار، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله المصطفى المختار، صلى الله وسلم عليه وزاده فضلا وشرفا لديه. أما بعد. So we're going to pick up from where we left off on the terminologies or the terms used by Imam Nawawi that weren't necessarily mentioned in the Muqaddimah. Some consider them as mustalahat, while others do not. And some we have concluded that can be considered a mustalah, others cannot be. For the most part, they can all go as not being considered mustalahat for many different reasons that we've mentioned along the way. Today we're going to pick up on one I consider the most interesting one. Okay, this one the ulama have been arguing on since Minhaj. Since the book was written, and there's a pondering upon it and trying to understand what was meant. The term we have here is al-asah al-mansus. Now this automatically becomes problematic. Why? Because he mentions in the introduction he's going to speak about the asah, and he says this has to do with ashab al-awjuh. And we already know that if it's something mansus, he's going to say nas, right? If it's a qawl, he's going to say it's a qawl. But he's combining between the two. Now for the most part, if a Shafi'i said it and there's no objection to it, they simply say nas and they move on. No one really gets into anything beyond that unless there's included details that were not included in the nas. Okay? The adilla, the mudrak, everything is great. That's it. For them, they stop at a nas and they move on to the next issue. So why would you say al-asah al-mansus? And can it make sense? Well, we're going to knock out and go over all of them inshallah ta'ala over a few majalis bi'idhnillah. But today, let me just expose you a little bit to what was said. Now, one of the earliest scholars that really got into it was Al-Qalyubi. Al-Qalyubi says, قوله النص أي هذه الصيغة بخصوصها بخلاف لفظ المنصوص، فقد يعبر به عن النص وعن القول وعن الوجه، فالمراد به حينئذ الراجح عنده. He's saying, you see, a nas here is different than when he says al-mansus or nassa alayh, but rather you could technically use this to refer to a actual nas or a qawl, or you could even use this for a wajh. So therefore, Al-Qalyubi is saying, therefore, him saying here, يعني, in this structure, Sahih al-Mansus, this really just means al-Rajah. Now, Shubram al-Lasi or Shubram al-Lasi, debate upon the name, we'll leave that for another day, but he says, al-Asah here, it means al-Rajah, and we have evidence. And the qarina here is that he put it next to al-mansus. We cannot take this as is ala al-zahir. This has to mean something else, because it can't be the most correct opinion of ashab al-awjuh and the mansus at the same time. So there, because there's tanafi, he says لما يلزم عليه من التنافي، فإن الأصح من الأوجه للأصحاب والمنصوص للإمام الشافعي وفي الوصف بهما معا تناف. جميل. Now, I claim, me, Abu Malik, I claim that that's exactly what it means. Al-Asah al-Mansus means exactly that. It is the Asah from what the Ashab said, and it is the Mansus of Imam al-Shafi'i. How can this be? Al-Qalyubi disagree on this. Al-Shabram al-Lasi or Shubram al-Lasi, they disagree on this. So how can you go against them and say something else? Don't worry, there are scholars that say what I said, given that I only found that out after I came to my conclusion, but I will present them in the following sessions, inshallah ta'ala. And we're going to go over each one, and I'm going to show you how that is. But just as a brief summary of it, the issue is as follows. Some of the ashab didn't realize that there was a nas. They overlooked it somehow. Some, not all of them. They overlooked it. So because they overlooked it, they started arguing and debating over it, not knowing that there's a nas. So then we started to have awjuh in the mas'ala, while those that followed came and said, wait a minute, there's a nas. So now you have awjuh being transmitted throughout the madhab on the mas'ala, and debates and arguments and discussions, and then all of a sudden, stop, there's a nas. Why are we having these discussions? So it is al-asah, because if you go back to many of the books of the ashab, it's there as awjuh. It's not there as there being a nas. So Al-Imam Nawawi here is trying to solve that problem by saying, FYI, there's a nas. So this is the asah wajh, because it is al-mansus, al-asah al-mansus. Jameel. And we're going to come and see later on as well as-sahih al-mansus, where he's blocking off the other awjuh, cutting them off in their entirety because they have no strength whatsoever. So if some of these awjuh have a possibility, the mudrak was strong, Jameel, because of its adilla or etc. He's saying al-asah because there might be a possibility. Maybe there's another madhab and the adilla in it that support it, in his view, have a possibility, have a leg to stand on, or maybe even the nas could be understood in that way, right? But then there's other masail where it's a sahih al-mansus. The other awjuh have no value whatsoever. They're just too weak. You cannot understand them. They have no, the madarik are non-existent. Jameel. So al-asah al-mansus, it is referring to awjuh and nas. And while yes, this might appear as tanaf, it's not. Because what is Nawawi doing? What is Rafi'i doing? These are editors of the madhab. And this is why those that claim, let's dismiss Nawawi, let's dismiss Shaykh al-Islam Zakaria al-Ansari, right? They say these are quburiyun. We need to go back to Rafi'i. There's some things, if they read about Rafi'i, they might say that he's quburi too, but hey, we'll keep that between us. They say, let's go back to Ibn Rif'a. Oh my God, there's so many things I could mention. You know, they only like Ibn Rif'a because Ibn Rif'a said, فروع الشافعية تقاتل من لحيته. Come on, we know why you're leaning on Ibn Rif'a so much. But they're acting as if we don't take from Ibn Rif'a. It's just their game, ya ikhwan, just their game, don't listen to them. But the importance of these individuals, Nawawi and Rafi'i, they're editing. What did people like Al-Mahalli and Shaykh al-Islam Zakaria al-Ansari come and do? Come and show us these details. What did their students do? Right? They analyze these details to point them out to us. So look at Nawawi as an editor. He's not just doing tarjih because he feels like it. No. He's not just saying things because they sound good. No, he's doing it because there's a reason behind it. And we're exploring, by looking at these terminologies, we're exploring the reasons behind words and terms that were used. And inshallah, when we're done these terminologies, we're going to actually read through Daqa'iq al-Minhaj. And this is a very important text because it shows us Minhaj is not only just a random mukhtasar. You have people that will say, oh, you shouldn't rely so much on Minhaj, it's only a mukhtasar. It's not only a mukhtasar. That's the whole point. The Shafi'iyya wrote almost 1,500 different works on it, not because it was just a mukhtasar. It's the heart of our madhab. If you memorize it, then you've memorized our madhab. Now, this does not take from the value of any of the other books. No, not at all. Study al-Muharrar, read all of the books, but understand the reason why the Shafi'iyya have ijtima' hawla al-Minhaj is because of that value. And we're exploring it right here, ya ikhwan. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.